Did Toronto Defiant Overwatch Overactive Media, did you guys apply for partnership? What was that process and what led to the decision to not return next year?
No, we did not apply. We looked at it. We spent quite a bit of time analyzing the plan and asking questions and having meetings. I think the staff at Blizzard, Sean Miller, and the people at esports basic group have put together an interesting program. But ultimately, when we looked at the overall kind of viability of the package, let's say vis-a-vis where we were, we just couldn't figure out a way to make it work for us financially, even with the additional revenue share. The way that we look at esports is really pretty simple. We want to be able to get enough sponsorship um, revenue to be able to cover the cost of the club. So sponsors cover the cost of the club, and then the MTX, the digital items that are available for sale, um, that that's our profit, right? And and you need a profit to operate a business. You can't just basically do it for goodwill forever. And we've been involved with Overwatch for 6 years. When we were looking at the plans for 2025, we looks like they're coming together very quickly. I know that there's transitions, changes that are happening to the ecosystem. I think that it's moving in the right direction, but there was just not a sufficient enough plan for us to be able to go to sponsors and partners and be able to say, here is the platform that you would be supporting for 2025 going forward. Um, and I think it will come together. I have no doubt about that. But without visibility on the broadcast, on the season, on a whole bunch of other things, whether there's assets on the broadcast to be able to offer to sponsors and so forth, like traditional esports leagues, it's very difficult for us to go to sponsors and basically say, here's what you're getting when you're paying for it. And so then the only thing that we have to operate for is the skins or the digital media rights and maybe prize money. And we were not confident, based on what we saw, that was going to be sufficient to cover our costs. And from our perspective, look, Activision Blizzard is part of Microsoft. That's $1 trillion company. Esports Faceit Group is part of $1 trillion company, if you want to look at it that way. Esports organizations are relatively small organizations in that framework, and it just I can't look at the plan and say that we $1 trillion companies without the visibility that there is a path to break even in the immediate future without sponsors. And um, and so that was it. I mean, it was a difficult, calculated business decision. I hope that I'm wrong, and the numbers are better than we were anticipating that they would be. It's okay if they are. It's not like a big loss. We can come back the subsequent year, mea culpa, and say, "Wow, you guys did a fantastic job on the skins or the digital or the MTX." And then come hat in hand and look to come back. But for 2025, again, I can't see a path forward for us to basically break even or eke out a small profit, and so it was essentially a non-starter for us.
Yeah, I think like maybe the most interesting thing there is the fact that you guys did return for 2024 when it seemed like maybe the package wasn't going to be as attractive. I mean, this was the year that was kind of touted as the transition year. I mean, that's certainly what it seemed like to me. I think most people would look at the OWC in 2024 and probably say like this is less of an offering, far less than what we received in the Overwatch League for at least from the outside looking in. But this was the year you guys decided to invest in. Next year, you guys are not coming back in. It seems like this would actually have been the year in 2024 to maybe have skipped a year and 2025 to have maybe invested, but you guys have kind of done it the opposite way around. Was it purely a timing thing? I mean, you mentioned
Yeah.
sponsorships a couple of
Yeah,
different
yeah.
times there as well.
It's
So
it's it's sponsors, right? So yeah, so we have Bell and we had AMD and TD and a bunch of other partners that were that were willing to give it a shot in 2024 alongside us. We weren't sure what to expect, and we were very transparent about that. And frankly, the assets that we were able to deliver were insufficient. I don't think anybody, kind of came back and complained loudly. Like, everybody, nobody overpromised and underdelivered. It was, let's see what happened. Uh, and it was a trial year. It was positioned as a trial year, and now I think it's a second trial year. And we we think that it's worth kind of pausing now. I'm not going to go back and push them hard again. I probably could. They're fantastic partners of ours, but I think I'd rather wait a year and see what happens. In particular, with the amount that's going to come back from the partnership program. I think a lot of it depends on there. I know there's a lot of teams that are optimistic about it. I'm not sure what to think about it. I don't have any data points to basically set it against, and yeah, and so it's a good time to kind of wait and see what happens.
So what would it take for you guys to come back in 2026? As you did say, like specifically in your statement, but also here as well, that 2026 would be the year that you would look to bring back the brand, and maybe not as Toronto Defiant, maybe as a different brand like Toronto Ultra, maybe Koi or something else. But I mean, what would it actually take? Like, is there a specific metric you're looking for? Is there a specific thing that you're looking for from Blizzard to say, like, here, this is what we can offer in 2026? Is that then meeting the bar of what you're requiring to come back?
Yeah. So look, from our perspective, the four biggest games, at least the ones that are in our universe, uh, are um, are Counter Strike 2, Valorant, Call of Duty, and League of Legends. And each one of those has, seven-figure potential from, either MTX or from, the league partnership directly. And so we consider those to be tier one esports. They're very difficult to get in. They're strict partnership guidelines. We're fortunate that we're in all of them. We have done very well in all four of them. That's the core of our business. And then the rest of the games, we see those as tier two esports. And I measure tier two esports in part by, what is the revenue that we can generate directly from the game, excluding sponsors, right? And that typically is going to come from MTX or some minimum guarantees from the league itself. And I would put in this group, Rocket League, Rainbow Six, Halo, Overwatch, those types of games. And um, and typically, we're not in any of those, by the way. Typically, we don't believe that those games are big enough in terms of the user base or in terms of the support from the publisher to allow teams to generate sufficient revenue from the MTX side of the business for us to be able to basically make a viable go of it from kind of an ongoing business perspective. Um, and so we look at them and we poke and we try to figure it out, and ultimately we decide there's not enough upside in those games for us to invest the kind of investments we need to make. For Overwatch, I think there is, of those games I just mentioned, I think Overwatch has the best chance to emerge as another tier one game. But I believe it's up to Team Four. I would say at the end of the day, it's up to Team Four and Blizzard. But probably the way that I see it is that it's really the actual development team that has the kind of say on it. If Team Four wants to structure the league in such a way that the teams are able to generate sufficient revenues from MTX, I think we would be able to do it. Um, I think at this point they're unsure. I think they're a little tentative. They're taking small steps, um, slowly, to figure it out. And like I was saying, Team Four is part of $1 trillion organization, and they're being tentative, and they're taking small steps, and they're not investing heavily, and so the burden then falls on teams to take the risk that they're not willing to take. Um, and that's just not our business. I mean, that's you know, that's what it is. Some teams may want to take that risk. I just don't see our business is not to subsidize trillion-dollar companies. It's for them to establish the guidelines, provide visibility to the revenue that we can get, and then we will go out and do the best job possible of any team in the world within that league. That's our model.
If you enjoyed that clip, the full episode is linked below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new episode.